we have the cast of Fantastic Beasts. Should we bring them out? All right. So we have Alison Sudol, Dan Fogler, Katherine Waterston, Eddie Redmayne, and Ezra Miller. Dan, what is that package you have?
Yeah, I play a baker in the movie, and I was walking around before I got here early, and I thought it might be fun to get some cupcakes. And well, hold on. I got like 12 of them, so we'll have some. Maybe some if you guys want them. Then there'll maybe be some lucky people will get some.
Dan brought everybody one crumb of cupcake.
Everyone gets one sprinkle.
You know what that just reminded me of was that every
Croissant.
Friday on set, he'd bring us the most amazing croissants.
Croissant Fridays.
And it was an aggressive scene in the hair and makeup trailer.
Yeah.
They'd be gone in like 15
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you really took the role to heart. Like, you were like, I'm a baker, so I bring baked goods.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
When I asked Dan today, what are these, he simply said, "It's Cupcake Wednesday."
Awesome.
It is. Maybe I should open it up.
Let's see them. All right. So while you're getting your cupcakes situated, actually, this was a lot easier than I thought, so you could just show it. Oh, no.
It's been a cupcake catastrophe.
Crushed.
They're still delicious.
It's like Harry Potter's birthday cake. Anyone?
Oh, it's so sad. It's really upsetting, actually. They look
It's okay.
Oh,
They're
they've
still
just given up the
delicious.
ghost.
They're still delicious.
Yeah.
They're going to taste just as good.
It's not going to stop me.
Right. Should we put them over here? I have a table here and nothing to put on
There
it,
you go.
so this seems perfect.
You guys want one that isn't messed up?
Of course, yeah.
Jump in there.
Should we share one,
Let's
Ezra?
share one, Dan.
There are so many people here who want
Dan has
one.
been so nice
Yeah.
to bring
You
us.
want one, sweetheart?
So few, we should certainly.
No, I know it's. I know it got a little gooey.
This one isn't
Really
perfect. The
dangerous.
integrity is.
It's the thought that counts.
Yes. So I want to talk about this trailer because my favorite shot in the trailer, and I don't know about you guys, it's the shot of the Niffler, like the slow-mo action shot of him being like, yeah, I know, I'm cool. That being said, do you all have a favorite Fantastic Beasts in the film? You have to, right? There's so many cool ones in this movie.
That Niffler shot. The Matrix
Oh
Niffler.
yeah, let me give these out, man.
I'm so sorry. I was so into my...
Take a bite.
No,
pass
that's
it on
totally
the left-hand
fine.
side.
Eddie,
Were you asking
do
which
you
was
have
my
a favorite
favorite?
Fantastic Beasts? You're the closest to these creatures.
Newt, what I love about Newt is he doesn't really have favourites, or he's not meant to have favourites. But he does. And so I think his favourite is probably Pickett, the bowtruckle, who he's one of the bowtruckles. There are a few in the film, but Pickett lives in his top pocket and has attachment issues and is always claiming that he has a cold in order that Newt will like take him around with him. And that's what I used to do to get off school. You know, I'd do that thing of taking a flannel and putting it under really hot water and then
That's
put
a washcloth.
from my translator. Shit, sorry. And I put it under really hot water and put it on my head just before my mum came in, so that when she took the temperature, it would like be hot. So I related to Pickett in some ways, in order that I could bunk off school.
Oh, that's great. Ezra, I know you're a huge fan. Did you have a favorite Fantastic Beast?
Yeah, I'm really into the Niffler. I
Good.
really like the Niffler. I've always liked the platypus.
Yeah.
And now, I've found a smaller platypus in the Niffler. And I don't really like shiny stuff, so I feel Nifflers would be very comfortable around me.
It's fine. Just a little difficulty. It's okay. Allison, I feel like you have a favorite. You're ready to go.
Oh yeah. Okay. I'd say the moon calves. The moon calves, because their habitat is basically this like strange, wonderful, calm space, and they sort of just have this big eye, and they look at you.
I love Dan.
And they love Dan, and Queenie loves Jacob. So there's that. I don't know why that had made no sense.
The moon.
You too.
The moon calves.
The moon calves are so sweet.
They're really that part's great.
It'd be a nice
You guys haven't
pet.
seen the movie.
They have it.
Oh yeah, there's that.
Trust us.
They
It's
eat
a great
these,
scene.
They eat these pellets that they float. It's fun. You throw them and you expect them to land, and they just go.
And they just stare at the moon. Just sort of run around with these massive eyes wherever the moon is, like staring at them.
Now, talking about the Fantastic Beasts, I mean, how did you film those scenes? Because obviously, I know, for example, on Game of Thrones, not to ruin the magic, but a direwolf is like a tennis ball on a stick. So in this film, what was the Niffler? I mean, at one point you tickle the Niffler. Like, what were you tickling? Were you just tickling air?
Well, do you know, actually, the Niffler is an interesting one because the wonderful thing is David Yates, our director, rather than going, this is how we're going to do it, handed it over to us to kind of discover in rehearsal what we needed. So sometimes, like for the Erumpent, this huge kind of rhino elephant-like figure, some of the people who'd worked on Warhorse created this huge puppet, like manned by 3 people. That was pretty extraordinary. But the Niffler, we got to meet the artists, the guys who were designing these creatures, and not only would they draw them, but they were the actors themselves because they were kind of characterizing these guys. And there was a guy called Pablo who was like 6'3", and I was talking to him about the Niffler, going, in this situation when Newt's having this engagement, what would the Niffler be doing? And he went, I think he'd be going, and I literally did this extraordinary impression. And so I said to David Yates, I said, we were meant to be using like a cross on a stick for the Niffler. I was like, can we have Pablo be the Niffler? And so basically Pablo, this poor guy, ended up having to sort of get down, crouch into kind of this tiny position and spend most of the film just sort of sniffling around the floor. So that was really helpful.
Did he also get to come back and play the bow truckle, like in your pocket?
But the bow truckle, no, the bow truckle was. They did make this little Giacometti-like sculpture, which they would put on my hand to sort of, in order that I could feel the sensation of it. But then, really, the truth with the bow truckle is I would just sit there at home, and occasionally on the tube in London, talking to my imaginary friend.
I'll hold it and you can do the impersonation.
Okay, so I'd just be sitting there, like just chatting to him, talking, and then someone would be staring at you really weirdly, and you'd get some dodgy looks. But that was kind of my imaginary friend moment.
That's
But
amazing.
Eddie also did such incredible work with the beasts. Like in the scene with the bow truckle, he's kind of clingy and holding on to his fingers. And when Eddie was working with the little Giacometti puppet guy, he made it look like he was having to tear him away. And it was actually really heartbreaking to watch. And, he's kind of actually on, he could have a career as a puppeteer on the side. If things don't work out.
It's actually kind of amazing. I got the chance to see the film, so I'm not spoiling anything for you guys. You can't, if you hit me up after, I won't spoil anything. But one of my favorite scenes is you, Eddie, just going for it, just fully committing yourself to the role of a magizoologist. And it is just the coolest thing. There is a dance involved, and it is awesome.
Talk about it.
Was everybody on set for that? Did you all get to witness the magic?
Sadly,
or was it close
no.
set?
I was there. Yeah.
Dan was watching.
What's amazing? Can I say this? Is that it's amazing. Out of all the stunts and all of the action sequences, that mating dance is what he hurt himself on.
I strained my inner groin.
Yeah.
You gotta stretch.
Really
You gotta
painful.
stretch.
And I was just amazed. I'm like watching him. I'm like, man, this guy is committed to this.
So committed.
Oh, and you did that so many times in the cold, man.
Oh no, it was a fun time, but it was amazing because in the script, a most wonderful thing about this, one of the wonderful things about this film is that when we read the script, not only does J.K. Rowling write amazing dialogue, but the description between, it was like reading one of her books, and the detail was just incredible. Except in this one scene in which this whole thing happens and it goes, and then so I was just reading it, and then Jacob hides my thing, and then Newt performs mating dance, and then there's went back to that bit. I was like, Newt performs mating dance. David, what does that mean? And so we did this weird thing where I went into a YouTube hole and basically looked up birds and animals doing mating calls and stuff, and then I worked with this dancer who I'd worked with on The Theory of Everything and The Danish Girl. And we literally were in a room, and I humiliated myself doing these ridiculous dances, and I would send them, the videos, to David Yates. And like 3 or 4 hours before he would respond, were the most excruciating 4 hours, because they would come back with a really serious note, because it's not meant to be funny. This dance, it's like a full-on, it is a seduction dance.
Yeah.
And David would come
And
back
to
going,
be
"I'm
sexy."
not."
It's supposed to be funny. It's definitely supposed to be funny.
But he would come back going, "I don't know, I don't believe your intention there, and I'm not sure that it's sexy enough to entice this female erumpent back into the caves." And so, yeah, anyway, it was fun. Yeah.
And sometimes he would rehearse in the gym. We had a little gym, and there was a little matted area, and so sometimes I'd be exercising in there, and I wanted to respect his privacy because he was working it out and everything, and I didn't want to make him feel uncomfortable, so I would not look ever. But sometimes I would just hear sounds, and it was so tempting to see. But it was worth the wait for the film.
It truly was. I mean, we don't have this scene to show you. I wish we could, but we have another beast to show you. Do you want to see it? We have a clip. All right, let's roll the clip. So Dan, in that scene, we kind of see how vulnerable Jacob is because he's the only nomad. So were you kind of jealous on set that you didn't get to partake in any of the magic?
Yes. I had major wand envy. I wanted to, but I got to do so much fun stuff anyway. I was like in that in that scene, in the erumpent scene. He gets that rumpant riled up, and then she comes after me, man, and then is running after me, and that whole time. I'm a fan of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I just imagine, in my head, she was the boulder and I was Indiana Jones, man. And that was magic to me. I got to do so much great stuff.
Yeah, and what I loved in the film were the scenes between Jacob and Queenie. There was actually a lot of romance and a lot of heart in there. And Queenie to me is so interesting because I know she was originally written as a bit of a bombshell. And it kind of all changed when you were cast, right?
Well, she's a bombshell.
Not that you're not a bombshell. She's such a bombshell.
No. I never would in a million years consider myself a bombshell. And when I went in for the part, I had a really strange hair color because I had my hair dyed like so many different colors for a role, and it was sort of weird and brown and murky, and I wore like a onesie because I didn't know what I was gonna do, and so I just wanted to make sure I could move, and so what what I fell in love with Queenie was that she is an empath. She is kind. She's warm. She's accepting. She's nurturing. She's fun. And she has this unbelievable insight into humanity because she reads people's minds, but it's not just their thoughts. It's their whole story. She reads everything about a person in an instant, and she doesn't even think anything of it. It's just the way that she is, and so yeah, she's she's lovely. I got to wear, there's a lot of architecture going on, a lot of help to create some sort of bombshell type situation, but she's just a wonderful human being.
The hair on this movie, by the way, is fabulous. Ezra, your hair?
You mean the worst haircut of all time that has ever existed in the history of... Thank you. It's very kind of you to
Maybe I
say.
was the one person that liked it. I don't know, but that was
cool.
your
I
real
wanted
hair.
that
Are you going to go for it?
That was no wig? Sure, why not?
No wig. They cut off enough of my hair to make a wig, which they did out of my own hair.
Which I liked so much that I tried on the wig and then got the haircut for Alien Covenant. So
Oh.
I actually completely
You heard it here first,
stole
folks.
his look.
You stole his look.
But it's like we knew the bowl cut was bad, but this isn't even like a cereal bowl. This is like a bowl you'd put some sort of sauce or garnish in. Very shallow. Wore a lot of hats.
So Ezra, a little more on that haircut. It took so.
Wow, really?
Yeah, of course.
You haven't spent enough
We're
time on
going,
the haircut?
yeah.
Okay, you're right.
So
You're right, Chris.
the thing about your character is that for months people were like, Ezra Miller's in this movie. Like who? What is he doing? Because there was no photos of you. At Comic-Con, you were telling everybody you weren't even in the movie. He was like straight up lying. Like your character was so under wraps, and then finally when he was unveiled and we all saw that first photo, I think everybody had that moment where they were like, oh, he's a Gaunt, or like he's part of the larger Harry Potter mythology. Is that something that you yourself were kind of maybe like when you were first seeing this character were like, maybe he has something bigger to tell this story?
I mean, I couldn't see the haircut when I read the script, so it was harder. J.K. Rowling, a lot of detail in the story, but she did not actually detail his head looks like a mushroom, or worse. She just said that he came off looking a little funny. And so I didn't have that indication that he was such a figure with such a mythologically terrible haircut until I met with our amazing hair and makeup department head, Faye Hammond. And she had these pictures from the 1920s. It was all very authentic. There was this picture of this very sad-looking boy with that haircut. And we were like, don't we think this has to be it? And I tragically felt that I agreed.
I know for a fact they're growing the back out for the next one.
Wow, yeah.
So it's like mullet style?
Yeah, it's like mullet, but still the shaved sides. Yeah, you heard it here first, folks.
Of course. And then talking about getting into character, Eddie, one of my favorite things is I feel like every time you do an interview and you have this amazing audition story, like you had this amazing audition story for Bilbo Baggins and recently Kylo Ren, and we all know he auditioned for Tom Riddle. So I want to know, what's your Fantastic Beasts audition story?
Well, my Fantastic Beasts audition story was that it was so cryptic. Like on this film, everything about the film was and remains so cryptic that we had to put our scripts in a safe every night before we went home. We weren't allowed out of, and like alarms and stuff would go off, and like snipers would appear if we happened to sort of accidentally take one home. But so when I first heard about it, I was just called for a meeting with David Yates. I didn't know what it was about, unknown project. And it was in London, and it was winter time, and there was this club called Black's, and downstairs there was a fire, and the whole thing was like something out of Potter. And I have this little case, like a Globetrotter case, which I've always taken to work. I come from another set, and I keep my homework in. It's my way of making me feel like I have a proper job. And I had arrived from work, and I sort of met David, and he was sitting there by the fire, and he's like the kindest, like, gentle man in the world. And he started telling me the story of Fantastic Beasts, because Joe was writing the script at the time, and of who Newt was, and of this case. And as he started talking about the case and how it was kind of central to the thing, I sort of just gently started like pushing back my case, because I thought I was going to be one of those actors who turn up like dressed as Spider-Man or like dressed as the. So it was, but that was the first stage, and then about every like month or three, I'd meet him again, and so I was actually being told this story as you would like read a Charles Dickens book or one of Joe's books. And eventually I got to read the script, and I was already so excited. And when I read the script, all of that excitement was just, if possible, superseded by the most wonderful things. So and then I still hadn't been cast, so I was like, please, can I play the part? And I just sort of, got, fortunately he did.
Yeah, and I think, right, great. I think Newt is like a very atypical protagonist. When I watched the film, I was like, he's not the chosen one. He's not the suave leading man. He's all sorts of awkward and very quirky. And did you relate to that on a certain level, or?
Yes,
Sorry.
Absolutely, all of those things. I actually genuinely do. But that's also what I loved, is that Joe writes about outsiders, and all of our characters actually are outsiders, and they build and find strength in each other, and it accesses parts of their souls that sort of become quite extraordinary. But what I love is that Newt he's a mixture of things, because he's kind of really useless with people. Like, he can't communicate with people, but he's incredibly passionate about his creatures and phenomenally competent with his creatures as well. Like, so it's not that he doesn't lack confidence. He totally has his own confidence, but he doesn't feel the need to people please. He's also not a warrior. There's one line in this film where he says to Dan's character, worrying means you suffer twice. And I'm like the biggest warrior in the world. And so I've now started using Newt's mantra as my mantra in life. So Newt's become my therapist. So it's all kind of, it's all coming full circle.
So we have another clip for you guys, and you're going to get to see a little magic on display here. This one is featuring, it's a very cool scene featuring Tina and Queenie at work. So one of the reasons I really love this film, and it's for scenes like that, being a big Potterhead, I feel like a lot of the magic in those films, I mean, you were with Harry, Ron, and Hermione as they were learning. And it was very basic magic. And I feel like the magic in this film is very sophisticated. You get to see a lot of cool stuff that we didn't really get to see in those Harry Potter films, which is very cool. I know, Katherine, for you, you struggled just a little bit with the wand technique, but then you got it, because that looks amazing.
I don't know why I'm getting singled out about this. I mean, I think we all felt a little goofy at first. But, so when we were in pre-production, you know, we get a schedule in the morning, and it would say like 10 a.m. costume fitting, 11 a.m. hair and makeup test, and then I saw one day at 12 p.m. wand rehearsal. And I thought, what the hell? What is this? And they took me down a corridor, and there was a door, and led me into this room. And in the room, there was a cup on the table and a wand. And then this woman, this amazing woman, Alex Reynolds, who Eddie has mentioned, came into the room, and she was so amazing with the wand. She picked it up. She said, you know, for example, you could close the curtains. And she just had this ease about her, you know. And then she handed me the wand, and I turned bright red, broke out in a full body sweat, and she just kind of held it pointed down. I was afraid to use it. And she said to me, you know, just point it at the cup and slide it across the table. And I don't know, I went to acting school. I did stage combat, and I shot a dog on Boardwalk Empire, not for real. But, you know, I'd used weapons before, and when you know that they could really do something, it's easier to suspend your disbelief. But because I knew I couldn't in real life actually move a cup across the table, it just made me kind of bashful at first. But then a few days later, and after stealing a lot of moves from the Harry Potter series, we all started to feel pretty cocky with our wands, and we're showing off to each other all sorts of moves. But in that scene, that was at the beginning of the shoot, and I think we both felt a pressure to make it seem like something we do every night. You know, we didn't want to look like it was new to us, so we actually worked out that scene like a musical number, and counted and open the cupboard, and you salt the meat, and we shut the thing, and we said it all together in unison so many times, and they were like waiting for us. And then finally we were like, okay, now you can film us, because we had to know where all the plates were and everything. And it was really fun to work out. Actually, I sound so nerdy.
Was any of that practical? Because I know a lot of the magic in the film, in the original films, were practical.
There was, actually, in that scene, as you walk into the scene, you see in the girl's apartment that there is some washing hanging up on on a line in front of the fire. And I remember I'd been working there for about an hour and a half, and I just looked up, and there were like 7 puppeteers with wires coming down who were sort of making the washing move and on the rack in front of the fire to kind of dry it. It was kind of extraordinary.
That's amazing. And I know you all had a little input in the design of your wands. I got to see them all up close. I'm really into your wand, Queenie. It's very feminine and very cool.
Thank you. But it's also simple. I wanted to make sure that she didn't become like a caricature of a bomb, a bombshell or something like that. So there's a real elegance, and your wand chooses you, right? And like she's got a real power. I'm glad you like it. Anyways, it's pretty also.
Very pretty.
It is very pretty.
That's amazing. And I know for you, Katherine, you added a little weight to your wand.
Yeah. My wand isn't so pretty But yeah, it's a real workaday wand.
Yeah, it's practical.
And, yeah,
she's a very practical
yeah,
person.
she's practical, and she's kind of got this internal turmoil going on during the film where she's not, she's kind of lost her groove, and she's not quite sure if she's ever going to be able to reach the potential she wonders if she might have as an auror. So I thought, since your wand chooses you, if she got a wand that wasn't that special looking, it might kind of just add to that doubt that she will ever really achieve her greatness. But also sometimes you can't judge a book by its cover, and a simple wand might have a lot of power. So I just liked all of that. But yeah, it felt too dinky to me, so I made them put some kind of metal rod in it to make it feel heavier.
A core, if you will.
And then, of course, I got wand elbow because it was so heavy that, like, when we did the big fight scenes, I wake up the next morning like, what did I do yesterday? Why does my arm hurt? And it's a very particular. It's a flick.
It's a real thing. This is not a joke.
Yeah.
The three of us would come in. There was one morning we went into the trailer, and Catherine and myself and Colin. I remember seeing Colin like holding his arm, and Catherine leaned over and was like, "Have you got wizard's wrist?" Just like, and it was totally true, because it's like you're doing these huge things. It's like playing tennis, but you're not making any contact with anything. But you're like fully. If you're us, you're like fully committing, and it's like...
and not like super buff.
Exactly. Exactly, yeah. And so, sadly, it involved some strain injuries.
And on that note, so we all know that this is the first of 5 movies, right? Yeah. I'm very excited to see where it all goes, and it's kind of funny when I was thinking about this franchise, and we all know that the sequel, they're working on the sequel, J.K. Rowling's writing the sequel. I'm kind of wondering like how the titles will work. Do you have any insight? Because I was thinking like, okay, you could go Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them 2, but that's kind of boring. There's just Fantastic Beasts. There is Too Fantastic, Too Beastly.
Yeah, that's
right?
good. Yeah, other places to find Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah.
Fantastic Beasts and whoops, we forgot one or something.
Where to find them again?
Yeah, where to find them again. Do you have any, and do you know at all how they're going to be structured and titled?
No, I did actually ask that question to David Yates and David Heyman yesterday, and the answer is Fantastic Beasts will remain in the title if we go forward, and then it'll be and the...
Oh. All right.
Something of the something.
It follows a very similar format.
Right? Am I allowed to say that? Oh, God, guys.
It's fine. Shh. It's already out there. We're good. So we have one more scene to show you guys, and then we're going to kick things off to some audience questions. And just to keep in mind when you're asking your question, we want to keep it all very film related. There's so many fun things to talk about in this movie. So, yeah, the questions are really endless. So let's watch the scene.
Yay.
That's the Bowtruckle. He's so cute. Now you see why you have such a special connection with him. So yeah, let's get things started with some audience questions.
Hi. So I know that Eddie and Newt are both Hufflepuff, so I was wondering what house the rest of you are, either your character or what you are in real life.
Ooh. There's a thing you can find out, right?
Pottermore, yeah.
Yeah.
So they had me. The people from Pottermore came to set, and they wanted to have me do the sorting thing, but the website, the internet went down in the middle of it, and it was so traumatic to me I never went back. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm terrified that if I get a house that's different than Queenie's house, then like I've done something terribly wrong, so I've just stayed away from it. I'm sort of superstitious that I'll...
Not Slytherin.
Not yet. Seriously, I'm so scared that I'm going to get the evil one.
Okay.
It's not evil though. I mean, we all know.
No,
right?
Slytherin's not evil. It's not. No. Oh, I thought you meant the Ilvermorny house.
Oh no, I think these are Hogwarts
we're talking
houses.
about... Oh, that's... but I'm American.
I know Ezra has strong feelings. You're the biggest Harry Potter fan here.
No, my feelings are so strong that I also refuse to do the Pottermore algorithm because I have too much invested in it.
I'm a muggle, so I got shuffled into Ravenclaw. That was my birthday.
Don't talk about Ravenclaw that way.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just playing.
I don't know the
They are
rules,
kind
man.
of muggly. We all know.
We're all muggles deep down. So then, and then but I'm a Hufflepuff in my heart, I think. And then my Ilvermorny was a Pugwudgie.
Oh yeah.
Pugwudgie.
Yeah.
Pug. Bucky.
The representation of Hufflepuff on the stage is great. We
Yeah.
never get this. Hufflepuffs are so misunderstood. Eddie, I'm sure you know.
Yeah, no, tell me about it. This is the age of the Hufflepuff. But most exciting was I also did the Patronus Test. Have you guys done that? So I did the Patronus Test, and it was the first time the Patronus Test had been done, and they wanted to film me doing it twice to go on Pottermore, and I did it once, and I got my Patronus, which I was
Come on.
no, I was quite excited about. But they said said to me that there was no way when I did it a second time it would ever be the same again, because the algorithm is like 8 gazillions of these. It will never happen again. And I got the same one twice. And
Come on.
It was. I can't remember. Suddenly can't remember the name of the dog.
Wasn't it Beagle?
It was
a Basset.
a Basset Hound,
Basset
the sweetest freaking dog in the
makes
world.
so much
And I was so
sense.
happy, and because he came on screen and he sort of slightly dopey, just. It made me really happy.
Such a Basset Hound. That's awesome.
Well, I don't know, but I'm thrilled if I am.
I just wanted to ask a question for all of you, kind of. I know that you all have a really wide range of the kinds of films and the kind of parts that you do, and you've all done amazing work in the past, and I'm a huge fan. And I just wanted to ask, what kind of inspires you to choose a role, and how do you sort of go to work on it?
Great question.
Oh, sure. I think it's just if a story resonates, and for me, if I feel like I can honor the character, then that's sort of the whole of the criteria. There's nothing else. And then I think for me, it's very different how I approach the preparation and execution of different characters.
I would say that exactly what Ezra was saying as far as instinct when you read a script. I've read scripts that I think are really amazing, and then they end up being awful films, and scripts that are sort of dodgy that end up being good films. There's an alchemy that happens in filmmaking that's kind of intriguing, and but when you have an instinct with a script, and it's what I found with this script. What's amazing about this script is there are sort of thriller elements. There is a darkness to it, but there is a comedy and a kind of heart to it, that wonder that we all have, sort of that warmth that we felt from the Potter films. And yet I got to the end of the script and I was properly moved. And and that's all I have to go on, is that feeling of wow, if we can in the process, and who knows whether you will in the process, but retain that feeling, and particularly on a film of these scales, to be actually moved by it. I found it. So that was kind of how I go about it.
Yeah, all that stuff, and I think I am attracted to characters that I don't know how to play when I read the script, or I think that it'll be an interesting challenge, and then but there is usually something so weird and actory or something, but that you feel the person, and that happened for sure when I read this script. I thought, oh, I know her. Please, God, let me play her. And then I feel like we talk about this a lot in terms of preparation. You kind of don't know what you need, so you do all sorts of weird things, and then kind of in retrospect you see that maybe out of those 50 hours one was really useful. So, and that's a really, really fun part of the process, really just the free exploration before you get to set and they start judging your choices. And costume is really important to me and very, very helpful. I feel like I don't always know what I'm looking for, but then when I find it, it gives me a lot. And shoes. like it so informs the way a character moves and everything. So that there's some things like that outside in stuff, and then there's all the inside out stuff that's really dopey to talk about, and I can't.
I'm just trying to be a working actor. Don't judge me up until this point. My work. I've done all. No, man, it's the same thing. Like, Brando used to do a thing like that. Where
I wear sweaters like this so people will rub me.
You heard it here first, folks.
I rub you. Yeah, man. I loved this part. He was very close to me, and felt like I was playing like a family member or something. So a part like this comes around every once in a blue moon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm much newer to the acting world than these fine thespians, so
You wouldn't know it.
Thanks. When I heard about Queenie, when I first had her described to me, I felt something that I didn't know that I could feel about a character, because I loved the characters that I'd played before, and I found them so interesting and so intriguing. But with Queenie, something happened to me. I wanted to protect her. I wanted her to be seen the way that I saw her, which is, as a woman, people can focus on your appearance and they can assume things about you because of the way that you look. And even as it was written in the beginning, there were a few allusions to her not being maybe the most intelligent person or things like that, just because of the way that she looked. And those actually just disappeared as the script went on. But I found her to be so pure, and I just wanted to give her life. I wanted to walk in her shoes. I wanted to know what it felt like to be her, and I also just wanted to take care of her. And I don't know if I'm ever gonna feel like that about another character the way that I feel about her, but I mean, what an honor, right? Like you get a character like this potentially once in a lifetime, and I'm so glad that it was in this movie.
And that's how Alison turned Queenie from a bombshell to the bomb. Hey.
My question for all of you is, we've been so excited to get to see the Wizarding World here in New York in the pre-Trump era of the 1920s. And so I was curious, what part of the world or era would each of you like to see the Wizarding World reflected in?
What era?
Right now.
By the way, this gentleman's a guy called Jackson Bird. He's a huge Harry Potter fan. When I was prepping for this film, I was looking on YouTube and hearing extraordinary things, and kind of, because I'd been a fan, but I'd never really been to the fandom side of thing. And Jackson came out in an amazing video, and it's extraordinary and really worth watching. So he's an amazing human being, and was very inspiring to me. But era-wise, I freaking love the 20s. I love everything about it. I love the roaring jazz, prohibition, gangstery stuff. It was before the Wall Street crash. Maybe it was really not fun to live in, but it feels fun to live in. And it was interesting because in The Danish Girl and in this, I got to kind of spend a bit of time in that period. And I am so pleased this was actually the period it chose, because I always thought that kind of Gatsby thing might be quite fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited about the future, the future history of magic. I mean, maybe there's so many places you'd want to see, like the real magical history of the world, like how they built Stonehenge and the pyramids and all that sort of stuff. But I'm curious about the next magical stage for human beings when we get through this horror show and move on, to the bright things that I do believe are coming for humanity in the world. And I think, look at us. We're in an Apple store. Like, we do have magic, and I'm so excited to see what we can do with it in the future, because right now it seems like we're kind of messing up. But if we can turn it around, I think it would be pretty spectacular. I'd want to see the magic.
Woo!
Future. Yeah.
We need magic now more than ever, right?
I wanted to sort of drop the bomb and ask if there are any like characters from the past Harry Potter canon that might be rolling around. Can you tell us?
There are Warner Brothers snipers
We're being
sitting up here.
watched.
I don't know if you know. No,
We're
Things,
watching.
but no,
Yeah,
things,
oh, Big Brother that was.
things have been said in
Yeah.
recent days, so
Yeah.
we know some stuff.
What have you heard?
What have you heard?
What do you know?
You say it first.
David Yates himself has talked about possibly some Grindelwald action,
Watch Poker Faces. This
right?
is the
We're
definition
gonna
of
watch
poker
them all and be
faces.
like. So I mean, Ezra, you released a video talking about the history between Dumbledore and Grindelwald.
That was just a history lesson.
Yeah, it was just a history lesson about. And
That meant absolutely
in
nothing.
that video, I specifically said, maybe this connects, maybe this doesn't connect. Maybe I'm just talking about it because I'm obsessed with Harry Potter history. And that's one of the most notable events in wizarding history that we know about, right? So, I mean, obviously,
Honestly,
I'm
there
gonna
are
talk about
things
that.
they've told us we're allowed to say, and I still don't say them because I'm so afraid. Sometimes Eddie will say something in an interview, and I'll be like, I don't know anything about that.
Okay, well, we can't answer all the questions.
The guys from
But-
Warner Brothers are really happy with us.
They're just beaming. There's a row of people just smiling.
Also,
ear
you know
to
what
ear.
the thing is that for the first time, Harry Potter fans get a story that they know nothing about. There's not a book for this, and it's so exciting. It's exciting to me, and I don't want to spoil that,
So true. And I think for diehards like us, it's so annoying because we're like, we want to know everything and we don't. And it's hard sometimes, but that's life. But yeah, thank you so much for your questions. Those were awesome. And thank you guys for showing up. I'm so happy and excited for you guys to see this movie. I know you're all going to love it. And a big cheer to the cast of Fantastic Beasts.